Oh, I got it. Okay, so uh I'm easily distracted. We'll see how this goes. The honors college, what it is not, it is not AP. And I say that not because I am against or for AP. I just want people to know it's not the same thing as AP. What it is we offer an interdisciplinary course of study, which sounds complicated, but it's not. Um, think about like in high school, if you are at an in-person high school, you often find yourself going from math class to English class to French class or whatever. And you kind of have this class, and there's a break between them and they feel like divided as far as what they are. What we do is our courses are interdisciplinary, which means you come in and you have a course that might cover in one class, it might talk about art and religion and politics, all in history in one class. And it's kind of a blending of all these different things. So instead of learning one subject, you learn how a variety of subjects work together based on a theme. And we have all different courses with all different themes. We had a class where students learned about they learned about art and chemistry together. So they learned about different chemical properties of different paints and inks and things like that. I teach a course on Satan. That is a class where students get to learn about religion and art and music and history with a very dark sounding theme that's not so scary. And that's who we are. The other thing that we are and how we function, and this is part of why I say we're not AP, is we are very much not test based. We are project based. Often we have lots of courses that are project based or student led in some way. So instead of in my courses, instead of having tests, you will write essays. Students will participate, students will present, students sometimes will create the assignments that we do. I had one course where students actually created future courses that other students could then take. So it's pretty fun and different, but it is maybe not what some people expect when they hear honors college. And honors college is not something I would have been seeking out myself when I went to college. But if I had known what something like this offered, I wish I would have. For me, sitting in classes with lectures and taking a test was brutal and painful and did not do well for me. I like to participate. I like to get in there and ask questions and engage. And if that's you, you might want to consider us. What we do is we replace, for the most part, what we're up to is we replace the first 2 years of college. So a lot of what the first 2 years, and some students stretch this beyond 2 years, but the first 2 years of college, students do what we call gen eds, where you check off all the regular classes from across the spectrum, and you take your a certain amount of English classes, a certain amount of science courses, and instead of doing those things, you take classes with us. So if you're interested, that is what we do. We replace those, and then we also work with students their senior year. If you stick around at Central, we work with you your senior year, and you create a capstone project, which is a fun way to set you up for graduate school, which we talk about later. Okay, so let me think. Besides that, what we offer small classes, and so our courses technically cap at 24. Usually we don't have more than 20 students in a class. I happen to just really love what we do. If you are interested, first of all, there is a link to our website down below in the chat. But the way students get in, there is no test to get in. We don't even look at your GPA. And if you're someone like me when I was in high school, that's a blessing. Um, Students submit an essay. And generally for us, for most students, when they come in, they write an essay to get admitted. But for running start students, we ask that you simply submit a writing sample. So something that shows your ability as a writer. So an essay that you wrote for a class would be perfect. So maybe if you want to apply, you can dig around, find that really great essay you wrote last year or this year for whatever English class or history or whatever, and you may submit that and join the honors college. We have Every year we have a few more Running Start students. This year it's looking like we're going to have quite a few, but they do quite well. And the last thing I'm going to say about it, and then I'll answer any questions about the Honors College. One of the joys that I think students get out of this, like I love the way our courses are run, but students, it's a great place where students find community. And college, it's a little bit of a shock sometimes. You come in and you might go to high school where you know everyone or know a lot of people and are familiar with other people, and you show up at this new place and you're like, who are all these people? Our students know each other really well. We have these small cohorts, and so they come to class and they know most everyone's names. They're familiar with people for good or for bad, and it's an easy place to kind of feel comfortable being yourself, where you're not going to fly under the radar and get lost in the crowd. So I love it, and it's something worth looking at. If none of that appeals to you, I'm not offended. But if that sounds interesting, you can get in touch with us. You can email me, and I think Angela is going to put my email down below. It's matthew.martinson@cwu.edu, and you can email me if you ever have questions. You can also talk to Angela, who will just send you up to our office, which is directly above Running Start. I'm literally right above them, so I stomp up and down a lot. Yeah, but I think that's it. Angela, did I forget anything today?
I'll just chime in and say, all of you guys are in Running Start. You're all high school students. You might be wondering, like, can you take Douglas honors classes if you're a Running Start student? Will they satisfy your high school requirements? The answer is probably. For most of our schools, they will accept DHC classes. For sure, the classes that Matt teaches that focus on writing, almost all of our schools will accept it as an English credit. And any schools that don't, it's only because it's just never come up. So we can certainly talk with those schools and share the standards of the class, and I suspect that they will approve it. So DHC 102 is a great option if you're thinking of something as an alternative to English. They also have a lot of other classes. So we have seen students who've been able to use some of the classes towards like an art credit or towards like a science credit. Nothing is going to replace like your US history or your civics, you know, you have to take those. But the DHC classes can work towards a lot of other high school requirements, and for sure towards English. And I'll say from an advising perspective, who's had many students who've taken honors classes, everybody who's taken them likes them. Many of them love them, and I've never had a student not do well in their honors classes. So I think Matt said it's not harder, it's different. And I think that that is correct. I think there's a lot of support for students in the program. I would also say that just like you have to apply to be a student in the honors program, people who teach honors classes also have to apply to teach. So it isn't just like anyone who's teaching the classes, it's usually some of our best faculty who are the most engaged with students, who really like teaching, who like talking about interesting things, who teach those classes. So I really want to encourage you to think about it. And I've had a lot of students asking me since Matt's been coming to our orientations. And so I'll say also, it's the same intuition and stuff like that. Like it's part of Running Start. So if you are taking English 101 now and you think maybe I want to do DHC 102 instead, you can just talk to Matt, and if it works, you can switch it out. Not a problem. You're not going to like get charged or anything. It's all part of the regular CWU classes. So for sure, email him, go in and see them if you're interested. It's a really, really good opportunity.
Yeah, and if you end up not applying and you're midway through your first quarter at Central and you think maybe I should, you can still apply mid-year, and we welcome students. Students come in all the time and sit in on classes and check it out, and that's always an option as well, if you wanted to come see what we're all about. And yeah, we have a kickball tournament I think coming up soon, so we're really always super professional. Okay, so and if you have any questions, please maybe put them in the chat, and I'll change gears here in a minute. I'll say one last thing because Angela just reminded me I had a Running Start student come by my office today, and he asked a very honest question, which was, do you grade harder in the honors college? And I feel like I should say yes for some reason, but no, we do not. We grade the exact same way. I came here from the English department, and I grade essays the same way. in the honors college that I did in English. So like Angela said, courses are not harder, they're just different. They do require more student interaction. So it doesn't, we don't force students to join in and talk, but it does require you to get involved in some ways. So if that's too frightening, I understand, but yeah, that's how we roll. So okay, do I have any questions or should I move on?
We did, so how many classes do you have to take at once in the honors college?
Ooh, good question. I mean, usually for most students at the university, and this includes the honors college, you generally are taking 3 to 4 courses if you're a full-time college student. 3 to 4 classes, which is usually about 3 hours a day of sitting in class in general. So it's kind of a shock when you go off when you come to college, if you're coming full-time, to find yourself be like, you might take a class at 9, 10, and 11, and at noon you're done with all your classes, and you might kind of feel like, what do I do with myself? So there's a little bit of freedom that's kind of shocking, but you get used to it, for better or for worse. So yeah, we generally have students will take about 15 credits, is usually pretty normal. So we'll take they might take 3 classes along with something like, oh my gosh, what's our class everyone's required to take? Anyways, yeah. So Angela, what's the class?
Is it DHC 110? Is that what it is?
Yeah, but what's the class for all students that they take I mean,
It's like
yeah,
University 101, but you
yeah,
guys have it
University 101. Do Running
yeah,
Start students take that?
not usually.
Okay, never mind then. Yeah, so about 3 classes. I'm done rambling. So about 3 classes. Good question, whoever that was.
But I'll add, you don't have to take 3 classes,
Mm.
right? So you don't have to be full-time student to participate in the honors classes,
Ah,
and you don't have to be full-time honors college classes. So you can be a part-time student who is taking, like an honor, maybe you take like DHC 102, which is their writing class, and maybe you take US history, because you need that for the high school. And then you could
mhm.
still be like a band at the high school. So they don't require you while you're in Running Start to like do a full load of their classes or anything like that.
Yes. Yeah, great point. Yeah, yeah, especially too if you're taking language courses or something at university, you're going to take those outside of the honors college as well. So okay, I'll switch gears here and
I
then
have a
I'll.
question, Matt.
Oh,
A
please,
lot of
yes.
our students who are here tonight are, not all of them, but many of them live in Cle Elum or Easton or Wahluke or in Ottawa. So some of them are participating mostly online. Do you foresee any options for students to do honors classes as online students?
Ooh, that's a great question. Yeah, I mean, we were doing that, obviously, like everyone else, through that thing that happened a while back. We this year I don't think we're offering any sort of distance learning like that, online courses. So I do apologize if you are an online student. If we are currently growing, and at a certain point I think we're going to change that, but I don't foresee that this year. So yeah. Although if enough people, if there was enough people who showed a real desire to do it, I think you might twist our arm hard enough and we might figure out a way to offer some courses, because we have done that plenty in the past. So, and not just during the pandemic. So, and we also have had students coming in. We have had Running Start students come in from Cle Elum, and I think we even had one from Easton, but I'm not positive now. So some folks who wanted to do that fun drive in the winter, it's an option. So yeah, okay, all right. Am I okay? I'll switch gears. And then yeah, again, if you want to email me, it really does not bother me. Please feel free. And I'd be glad to hear from you if you have questions. So I'm going to give you a couple thoughts and suggestions for success in college. Maybe you're just chill and feel fine about it. I was scared to death going to college. I'd seen a lot of TV shows that made me think it was going to be very frightening and intimidating, and that I would spend every night, all night studying. And it wasn't the case. So I want to talk to you about things that you can do to really make sure you succeed, and some pitfalls to avoid. So here we go. So I like to do this in like I'll give you like two overhanging ideas to think about. Um, first of all is communication. I want you to think hard about communication when you come to Central, whether you are fully online or especially if you're fully online. But if you are coming into classes too, either way, communication is really key. And there's a few ways to think about this. First of all, when it comes to communicating with your professors, this is essential. And this is something you can think about beyond Running Start as well. So when you're past Running Start and you're going off to Central or some other university, think about how you communicate. Because one thing is, if you communicate with your professors, it will make you stand out, especially if you're communicating with them in a good way. So asking questions, oh my gosh, I am not insulted when students ask questions. I freaking love it because it shows that they actually paid attention enough to ask me a question. Unless, of course, they ask me, what did you say I wasn't paying attention? Please don't ask that. But if you ask us questions, it means you want to know. And our favorite students are the ones who actually want to know. So ask us questions. Also with that, we have something called office hours. And I never understood what these were when I was in college. And gee whiz, did I miss out. Sorry, I'm trying out new words. Gee whiz, did I miss out. Not so office hours, when I teach a course, when a professor teaches a course, they're required to have a certain amount of office hours. It is a time when my door has to be open and I have to be available and students could come in and talk to me. Don't come to these every single day unless you really need to, but come to a professor's office hours, talk to them, ask them questions. It is a great way for you to get the one-on-one instruction that means you are learning, but it is also just a great way to make you stand out. Professors do cool stuff. Like there are professors who take students out and they're studying salmon on the river. They're studying trees up in the hills. I don't know why I'm coming up with all these science ones, but they're publishing in a math journal, and they will invite undergraduate students to join them in these things. If you are the person who stands out as someone who cares and wants to get involved and wants to learn, you get these awesome opportunities. Oh, sure, I'll go to Spain. Sure, I'll go to Tainham Creek. Whatever it is, you might get to do it. So try it out, get involved, ask questions, come to office hours, and these opportunities can happen for you. It's kind of cool. What else does being communicative mean? For me, it means also getting to know the people in your classes. So whenever you can, get to know your classmates. Try to find and make community while you're in college, whether even if you're only doing one Running Start class a quarter and then you go off to some other school, getting to know the people in your classes will help you learn and succeed, and it makes for a better class. When students get to know each other, the class rolls better and everyone ends up learning more in the process. You get to study more, you get to help each other if someone misses class, etc. Speaking of which, don't miss class. Just don't do it. One of the problems with college is we have so much freedom, and sometimes it's easy for us to do things like miss class. But if you have to miss class, again, when it comes to communicating, let your professor know, hey, I'm a Running Start student. We have a band thing. I have to go. Let them know. Hey, I have the flu. Great. I mean, not great. I'm so sorry you have the flu. But email your professor. Let them know you can't make it because you don't want to make other people sick. How kind of you in both ways. Oh, last two things when it comes to communicating. First of all, actually engage in class. Raise your hand, ask questions. When a professor says, does that make sense? And it makes sense to you, say, yeah. Don't say, it's brutal having an audience who sits there and not answers. It's kind of like sitting there, I don't know, and talking to a bunch of blank screens. So participate whenever you can. I know it's not your fault. I'm just joking with you. Okay. And very last thing, and then I'll move on to my second point. When it comes to communicating, you cannot communicate if there are things plugged into your ears and a device in front of your face. So don't do it. I have students who ask me questions and I say, I explained it. You were on your phone. I'm so sorry that you made that choice. It is brutal for us to see it, and we have no patience at the university level, and we're not required to have patience with it, which is so wonderful. It's why I teach here. When it comes to when you're in class, be fully involved and fully in class, because I have had to fail students because they sat on their phone for an entire class, every class. Don't do it. Even if they're boring, just don't do it. Okay. I'm going to switch gears to my other thing, and then I will stop talking. So my other thing, so after communication is be industrious. And I use the word industrious because I think it's more than working hard. Working hard, please do it. That is awesome. But industrious means it's taking it upon yourself to go to the next level. So it means going above and beyond just simply working hard. So it means studying even if you think you got it. It means doing that last assignment, even though you think you already got the A in the class, doing that. It's learning for the sake of learning. And this is really, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I don't say y'all, gee whiz. Wow, what's wrong with me today? When wow, I hate telling students this. When I graduated high school, I had a D average, and I went off to a community college because I was sick of working the job I had. And I suddenly started getting A's, and I discovered I love learning. I didn't know that. And college is a great place for you to be reminded of this thing that maybe you've lost along the way. I hope not, but if you have, learning itself is fun because we are humans and we are naturally curious. So I hope you will learn for learning's sake, because then the A's and the good grades come with it. But then all of us professors too are like, dang, that one's a genius. I like them. And then when you come in later on and say, Professor, can you write me a letter of recommendation? I write you the most glowing letter of recommendation because you have shown so much passion and curiosity. And then we get you into your dream school for graduate school, and you go on to change the world and become a millionaire all at the same time. Wow, I'm really rambling now. Okay, very last things. Okay, here we go. When it comes to being industrious, what the university also offers is tutors, and we have tutors for if you're in person or online. We have a tutoring center that can help you with your English class and your math class, but also your geology class, your physics course, whatever it might be. They will help you, and it's free. It's free. So go in there when you write your essay, when you're studying for your test, and have them help you. It is so cool. And my students who do it, I have a running start student last year, and they came into my office like, there's tutors here, and you just go to them, and like, why doesn't everyone go to this? They were like, their mind was blown. So hook that up. Okay, very last things. I promise I'm getting there. Uh, at the beginning of the quarter, you get a syllabus from your professor. It includes dates and kind of how the course is run. Check it out. Check it out more than once. We have Canvas, which is like our website for every course. Keep on top of that. Same with your email. Many people in your generation don't check their email. I get it. It's an old person thing to do, as in Gen X. We're the worst, I know. But do your best to check your email, because it will really help you not miss things that maybe come that way. And checking your email will help you find some success. Okay, very last one, and then I'm honestly done. If you are on campus, find a place that is yours where you can study. And even if you're going to school online, what can happen if you're taking multiple running start courses is you will find these breaks in your day where you might have 1 hour or 3 hours between classes, and it's really easy to blow that time watching Netflix or Little Mermaid or whatever people do. So try to find places where you are away from those distractions. If you're on campus, try to stay on campus and take that time to get your studying done, because there are less classes, but more studying is required. So do the studying and find the time. Whew. Oh my goodness, I talked forever. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you everyone for dealing with me. Please, if you want to email me, if you have questions, just shoot me an email and I'll be happy to help and answer them if I can.
Thank you so much, Matt. That was wonderful. Okay, guys, if you have questions, please reach out to Matt. I do want to strongly encourage you to think about doing the DHC. It is a program that a lot of students have really enjoyed over the years. And like I said, students have liked it, students have done well. You'll get a lot more individual attention than you would maybe in other classes. Matt is incredibly popular as an instructor. I have had for years students stalking him, trying to get into his classes. So if you have questions, Matt is going to be a good resource for you. So please reach out to him. You can also contact us, but we are like secondary level experts, not top level experts. Okay, so we are going to move through. What we're going to talk about tonight is different resources available for you to make sure that you can be successful. We're also going to talk about like finding your books and finding paying your fees, academic standards, records, that kind of stuff, and then tips for success. Again, I know this isn't the most engaging way to present information by doing it in this format where you can't like talk, but it's because we want to preserve your privacy. At the end, we will open it up and you can absolutely turn on your camera and ask questions. But in the meantime, Alejandra is going to manage the chat. So if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. Please have them so that they're open to everybody, because I'm not going to look at the chat while I'm presenting. So if you have them open for everyone, then Alejandra will see them. And Alejandra, am I showing the right stuff?
Yes, you are.
Okay, awesome. So first thing I want to make sure you guys know about is your MyCWU account. I know you guys have all logged into this before because you used it to access logging into your classes. This is the account that you're going to use to register for classes each quarter. You're going to use it to view your class schedule. Right now, if you log into your account, you can click on your student services page and it will show you your schedule. So you can always access it there. You can check your grades at the end of the quarter in your student account. If you want to update your address or your phone number, or if you have a preferred name that you would rather go by than what's in our system, you can update it there in MyCWU. And you can also use it to pay any bills. Within MyCWU, you will also see on like the right side when you log in, there's an applications box. In there, there's a link to Canvas and to your student email account. So when you log into your student account, again, if you go to your student center, here's kind of an example of what you would see, where it has like, this is obviously from 3 years ago, you'll see your class schedule. You can see what your enrollment dates are under enrollment dates. So we'll do advising for winter in November. You will get an email from me in October saying, log into your account, see when you can register, meet with us before that. That will be under enrollment dates. Under advisor, all of you guys should see my name because I am your advisor. So if you forget who I am or what my name is, it is there. If you owe any fees, it's going to show under finances. And then you can also, if you use the drop-down menu, click on your class schedule, and there's an option to click on that for viewing textbooks. But I'm also going to show you another way to find that. You are required to use your central email account when you are corresponding with people on campus. You're also required to use it so that you are up to date on any information that's being sent out. The university does not send much stuff home. You might get bills in the mail, but that's probably going to be it. So you want to make sure you're checking your central email account so that you know what's going on. Your login for everything is the same. So whatever you use to log into MyCWU, you will also use that to access your student email. We use Outlook. So you can download the Outlook app for your phone, and then you'll just get, notifications if you get any emails from the university. When you are emailing professors or people on campus, you want to make sure that you're using your central email account because one, is the official way that we communicate with students. Two, we are not allowed to disclose student records to anyone who is not the student unless we have permission. And by using your student email address rather than a personal email, this is a good way for people to identify that you're really you, and they can then correspond with you about like your class attendance or your grades, that kind of stuff. It also makes you look like a pro, right? Like you know what you're doing if you're using your student email account. So please make sure you're using that. I suggest that you check it every day. As particularly those of you who are online students, you should be checking this every day so that you know what's going on and you're not missing anything. You also have access to Canvas through my CWU, or you can just go to canvas.cwu.edu. I am going to be emailing this presentation out, by the way, that has links to all of these websites that I'm talking about. So you can certainly keep track of them now, but I'll also just send it to you. So Canvas is our online learning platform here at Central. So you might have used something similar at the high school, like Google Classroom, or if you're at Clallam, I think Ms. Harper uses Canvas sometimes in her classes. So Canvas is, if you're taking online classes, this is where your class is going to run. You won't see any classes in there yet, probably. Professors do have to turn their classes on, and many of them do it the first day of school or like the day before school starts. Classes start next Wednesday on the 20th. So if you log in today and you don't see classes there, don't be concerned. You will probably see a Running Start advising class. That's part of what we use to communicate with you. So you will see that there. You can message me from Canvas if you want to. Some of you already have, or just use the email system. There is support for Canvas. So if you're having any trouble with it, you can access that link, and it has ways to get assistance if you're having trouble with Canvas. But you'll want to make, Canvas is going to be a big part of your life. Even for those of you who are taking in-person classes, most professors use Canvas. And for those of you who are taking online classes, or even if you're not taking online classes, but just want to know what support is there, this link has information for support that you can get, like Canvas isn't working, what do I do? I was kicked offline, I need help. So feel free to check that out. Do we have any questions, Alejandro, so far related to those things?
No, we don't.
Okay, so other thing to be aware of is your tuition for your classes is covered by the state. It's a really good deal because to take full-time schedule is for the year is around like $8,000. So you're not charged any tuition, but you do have to pay some fees. So anticipate that you will see this in your student accounts. Every quarter, you're going to have a $25 multimodal fee, and you will have a up to 10 credits, $3 per credit technology fee per quarter. So if you're taking 10 credits or more, you have a $55 fee each quarter. There might be other fees associated with your classes. So if you are taking like a chemistry class where you have a lab and there's going to be materials, or you're taking like a studio art class, or you're taking a PE class where there's like, materials you're going to use, you might have fees for those as well. Those always show up when you sign up for the classes. So it's hopefully not a surprise if you have those. You can pay your fees in your MyCWU account. So when you're logged into your student account, you can click on student and then click on the financial tab and pay that way. Or when you're in your student center, you can pay your fees that way as well. If you choose to come on campus, you can pay at the cashier's office. You will also get bills in the mail, so you can certainly write a check and just mail it in. Another cost that you might encounter is textbooks. So depending on the class that you're taking and the instructor that you have, you may have textbooks that you need to buy for your class. You can get your textbooks at the Wildcat Shop, and their website is here. And I'm going to show you how to find your books. So when you're here, if you just scroll down, there is it still showing this?
Yep, you can see it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so then you can click on order course materials and textbooks. And as a student, you should be able to put your ID number in here where it says enter your ID number, and then click get book list, and it'll have you log in with your central credentials, and it should show you your books. I'm not a student, so I can't show you that way, but there is another way manually to look. So let's say I am taking English 101 and I'm taking Sociology 101. So I'm going to scroll down and find English. When you are looking at your class schedule, so I'm going to tap back for a second. When you look at your class schedule, you'll notice that this says ENG 102-001. This means it's English 102, section 1, or like Korean 151-A01, that's section A01. So when you are looking for your classes, for your books, you are going to use that section number to find your class. So I'm taking English 101, And we'll say I'm taking an online class with Professor Ludlow. And maybe I am taking Korean 151, and I'm taking it online. And then maybe I'm taking Sociology 101, and I'm taking section 001 with Professor Myers. And then I can click on Choose Books, and it will show me the books that are required. So for my English class, it says no materials are listed for the course. So that could mean that they're not using a book, or it could mean that they just haven't notified the bookstore yet. So with something like that, I would want to probably contact my professor or wait for the first day of classes to see if anything is required. For my Korean class, it is showing that I need to buy this Seoul University Korean book that has a CD. This is the ISBN number for it. So if I want to buy it from the bookstore, I could click select item. It is 3307 from the bookstore. If I didn't want to buy it from the bookstore, I could just use this ISBN number to search for it on a different site. And then for my sociology class, it says IA Packback Bundle. So this IA stands for Inclusive Access. Inclusive Access books are online books that you access through your Canvas class. And notice it doesn't give me the option to buy the book. That's because Inclusive Access books are automatically charged to your student account, and you will access them in Canvas. If you're using an Inclusive Access book in one of your classes, you should receive an email from the Wildcat Shop at your central email account letting you know. And if you want to learn more about Inclusive Access books, up at the top under textbooks, you can click on Inclusive Access, and it will tell you what they are and how to access them, and what to do if you decide that you don't want to use it. So that's how you find your books. You will encounter some classes where it will say no text required. If it says no text required, that means that you don't need to purchase a book because the instructor is going to provide resources for you. A class that does that is like American Sign Language, doesn't require a textbook. And some classes use open educational resources, which are also resources that you don't need to purchase. So again, it will just vary from class to class in terms of what's going to be required. So you want to make sure that you look that up prior to classes starting. So that way you can make sure you have all your materials. We do have a book loan program for students if you receive free or reduced lunch, or if your family receives any type of public assistance, or if you have a parent or guardian who's receiving unemployment, or if you are a foster youth. So you can apply for that on our website, or at least the link for it is on our website. So I've already received book loan applications from some students. So for those of you who have already submitted your book loan application, we are ordering your books on Monday. If you have not submitted a book loan form, but you qualify for a book loan, then you will want to submit your application. Something to be aware of is it does need to have here we go. So when you fill this out, right, you need to fill out the top portion of it. And then it needs to either be accompanied by something that's showing that you qualify, whether it's like the letter from the high school that says that you're eligible for free or reduced lunch, or if you receive, if you have like a public services card, you could attach that. Or you could have somebody sign it. So like your high school counselor or the person who's in charge of food services at the high school, they could sign it, but you can't just fill out the top part. We do have to have something that shows that you're eligible. I would encourage you to do that sooner rather than later, because it does take usually a couple days for us to get books from the bookstore. And I would add also that we're not able to use any of our funds to pay for inclusive access books. So if it's a physical book, we can buy it. If it is like a code, we can possibly buy it. But if it's an inclusive access book, or if it's like materials and things that can't be reused, we're not able to purchase those. We have applied for a grant from the state of Washington to help pay for inclusive access books for students who qualify for the book loan program, and to also help pay for fees. We do not know yet if we are going to have funds, so we're still waiting to hear back from the state. So if you're eligible for these things, pay your fees for the time being, and then if we do get funds, we would just end up reimbursing you. Are there any questions about that?
We had one question in the chat that do we always have to buy the books?
So if you have a book required for your class, then you would need to buy it, unless you qualify for the book loan program, in which case we would buy it if it's a regular book. But if it just depends on your class, not all classes require books, but if the professor says you need a book, it would be a good idea to get the book. If it's a physical book, I mean, you could see about sharing with a friend or something, but I don't know that that's always very successful. Another resource that's available to you is the CWU libraries. So whether you're attending classes in person or online, you can access library services. The library is there where you can check out books. If you have research papers, you can go there to get sources for your papers, whether it's books, or you can, access academic journals and things like that. You can access physical copies. You can also, through the library, access a lot of ebooks and journal articles and things like that. Librarians are there to assist you. So in the library, they have librarians who are dedicated to specific subjects. So let's say that you're taking US history in fall quarter, and one of the assignments for you is to write like a paper about, say, World War II. If you're having difficulty finding sources, you can go to the library, or you can do the 24-hour chat with a librarian and then talk to them about what your paper is, and then they can help you identify appropriate resources. The library also hosts lots of events. So if you're in person or even online, but you want to drive to campus, they have trivia nights, they have group study sessions, they have a coffee shop. They do lots of workshops in the library. So during finals week, they do lots of free food events like waffle night and pizza. Sometimes they have like comfort dogs and puppies that come, and you can play with puppies. So there's lots of stuff happening in the library. If you go to their websites, you are able to see when they're open. You can chat with them. You can go to their events calendar and see. So, right, they have a lot of stuff coming up just in the next week. So like workshops about how to be successful, banned books lunch. They have speakers that come. So please feel free to check all that out. All of it is free to you. So please take advantage of it. If you have any disabilities, you will want to work with the Disability Services Office. So if you have a 504 plan at the high school, or if you have an IEP, or if you have disabilities that have not been served through a 504 IEP, it would be good for you to connect with Disability Services as soon as you can, because they can help to provide you with accommodations to make sure that you are on an equal footing in your classes. It's important to understand that accommodations that you might have at your high school do not transfer to the university. You have to request accommodations at the university, but they're very nice in that office. They will be happy to work with you. If you decide that you need that, you can just go to their website, and then what you'll want to do is, it just changed our website, so we're still figuring it all out. Oh, so you can scroll down and click on Disability Services Application. It's going to have you log into your CWU account, and then they will have you answer questions about what disabilities you might have, what accommodations you've had in the past, what kind of accommodations you're looking for. And then they will ask you to upload any documentation that you have for your disabilities. So you'll want to make sure that you include that, and then provide them with contact information where they can reach you, because they will then reach out to you to set up an appointment to talk about what accommodations should be in place and what you need. And then they will notify your instructors that you have these accommodations. If you think you might need this, it would be good to deal with this earlier in the quarter, like, you know, next week or tomorrow, or, you know, within the first couple of weeks of the quarter, rather than waiting later. A lot of students will wait until like midterms come, you know, when they start feeling pressure. And then it's harder to meet with disability services because they have so many students trying to see them at the same time. So please connect with them soon if you need to. And I want to stress too that any accommodations you have are confidential between you and disability services and your instructor. I don't know if you have accommodations. I don't know if you work with them. Your fellow students don't know. So your privacy is maintained when you're working with them. You also have access to free tutoring as a Running Start student. Matt mentioned this in his presentation. So tutoring is available in writing, in any subject, and in math for any subject. So for math classes, but also if you take chemistry or you take physics or economics or personal finance or anything else where you might use math. And then they also have tutoring in a variety of other subjects as well. They also have academic coaches. They have peer-assisted labs. So there's all kinds of services. They also have online tutoring that is available almost 24 hours a day. So if you're at home and you need help, you can reach out to them that way as well. If you go to their websites, they will have how to do an appointment, the math center, the writing center, Wildcat academic mentoring, where you can connect with a mentor who can help you to develop study skills if that's something that you think you might need to do. They have a link to different resources. And when you go in here, they will provide, here's a link for online tutoring. So if you need online tutoring, you can also do distance consultations, or you can do through CWU partners with other colleges, which is why we can have tutoring available so many hours of the day. So they have tutoring available in all of these different subjects. So if you feel like you're needing assistance, please, please, please connect with them. And if you don't remember how to do all of this, just connect with our office and we can get you connected with tutoring services, which again is free. We have Amber and other student assistants who work in our college and high school office who host events throughout the quarter. So you can follow us on social media. We have an Instagram, we have a Facebook, we have a currently defunct TikTok page. We have a YouTube channel where we post a lot of resources for you. So for sure, make sure you check your email. We often have like costume contests, we have game days, we have pizza days. So for sure, follow us on Instagram, read the emails that Amber sends out. Of any events we host are totally free. Amber also hosts study skills workshops. So if you feel like you want to build up on your study skills, for sure you can attend those. You can also just reach out to Amber if you would like help from like a student perspective. So Alejandra and I are here to support you. Amber is a current student. So if you want to talk to Amber about like, hey, what do you think is the best in terms of accessing tutoring or getting help in this way, or where do people go when they hang out? How do I make friends? You know, that kind of stuff. Amber would be delighted to help you. She's not here, but she's probably the most enthusiastic person in the office. And Alejandra is very enthusiastic herself. So it's a big competition. So any questions about those types of resources? Ale, are we good?
Yep, everything's good.
Okay. So reminder, you do need to do Running Start advising every single quarter before you can register for classes. We will notify you when it is time to do advising. The process will be, we will send out notifications via email. I will also post on Canvas. We will eventually call you, but the preference is that you just check your email and read Canvas and don't need to wait for us to call you. There are, as of today, 253 Running Start students. There's only one of me. I'm the only advisor. So I'm happy to meet with all of you, but it can be a bit of a scramble if you wait too long to schedule your advising appointment, because everybody tries to come in all at one time. So please make sure you're keeping up with when we're doing stuff and like reading your emails, so that way you can schedule an appointment to meet with me on time, so that you can register on time. The process will be, we'll notify you. You will need to meet with your high school counselor every quarter before you meet with me for advising, because they need to fill out your Running Start enrollment verification form. And that has to be done every single quarter. If you have not submitted one yet for fall quarter, you do need to turn one in to me by early next week, so we can make sure that you're enrolled in the correct amount of credits and that you're in the correct classes. So you'll meet with your counselor, review your requirements, get your paperwork filled out. Ideally, you would look at the class schedule. Part of what our notification is sending you a video that shows you how to look at the class schedule and figure out classes you might want to take. I'm here to support you, but you will be happier in classes that you like if you look at the schedule and get an idea of what you're interested in, rather than just relying on my recommendations. I try to do a good job, but I have I will go based on your high school requirements and based on things that I've heard from students in terms of what they've liked in the past, and classes that might work towards a major if you're interested in a major, but I may not know that you secretly love theater, and so I might not recommend it to you. So so take a look at the class schedule each quarter just to get an idea of what you want to do, and then you'll meet with me. You can do advising in person or online, and then at that point we will review what classes you might want to take. We'll go over a few different options, talk about how they fit into your high school grad plan and into your college plans. We'll review how to register for classes, and then you'll be able to register on your own. If you need help with anything, you can always reach out to our office. Advising is not just about doing like picking out classes. We're here to support you in terms of like long-term goals. If you're thinking about, colleges you might want to go to, or majors that you're interested in. If you're working on college applications and you need assistance with like your college essays. Obviously, I'm not going to write them for you, but I'm happy to like look them over for you and give you feedback, or letters of recommendation, that kind of stuff. So, or if you're just confused and you kind of need assistance with like, how do I deal with this situation? Please come in. If you're doing really great and you just want someone to be excited because you like totally aced that test, come see us. We love when people come in, so please do. In terms of your schedule, I want to make sure you guys all know you are able to make schedule changes through the 5th day of the quarter. So the classes that you're in right now, you don't necessarily have to stay in those same classes if it's not working with your high school schedule, or if you're having a thought that you might want to add an additional class, or maybe you feel like it's too much and you might want to drop a class. We can make changes through the 5th day. I will warn you that if we're switching classes, it is very much dependent on what's available right now, and that kind of changes. A lot of stuff is full, so we'll do our best if you need to make changes, but I can't promise you that the class you want to take is necessarily open. And I'll say right now, every English class is full, so we can't really switch into English. But like for those of you, if you might be interested in the honors college, we still have time. You can still add an honors college class if you want to do that. If you see something that's open that looks good to you, we can do that. I feel like I've talked to a few Ellensburg students who need to add classes for sports, so we still have time. We can still add things. So you can make changes, adding, dropping, or changing through the 5th day. And if you are dropping something, it won't even show up on your transcript if we do it through the 5th day of the quarter. After that, you cannot add anything or change things, but you can do a withdraw for the first 6 weeks of the quarter. So the first 6 weeks, we can do an uncontested withdrawal. That is withdrawing for any reason. So ideally, this doesn't happen, but it could be maybe you didn't go to class, or maybe you weren't really doing your work, or maybe you got like a concussion or something. For any reason, it doesn't matter. We can withdraw for the first 6 weeks. It will show on your transcript, but it doesn't impact your GPA. It will just show I was enrolled in English 101 and I withdrew, and then you can retake it a different quarter. So if we need to do that, we can. After the first 6 weeks, the only way to withdraw at that point is to do a hardship withdrawal, or to do a complete withdrawal from all of your classes. And I have to be clear, a hardship is not that you don't like your grades. A hardship is not that you don't like the professor. A hardship is not that you weren't doing your work. So a hardship would be, again, if you're playing volleyball and you broke your wrist, or if you got a concussion, or if something was going on in your personal life, those would be hardships. So that would certainly qualify for doing a hardship withdrawal. But if you just weren't doing your work, that doesn't really qualify. You do have to communicate with me to withdraw from classes after the schedule change period is over. I'm never going to tell you no. That's not how college operates. It's your decision if you want to stay in a class or not. But you do have to communicate with me, because we have to communicate with your high school to make sure that it's okay with them. What we don't want is for you to be like a senior and you're in a high school graduation requirement, and maybe we don't have any other way for you to get into that requirement. So it's never going to be a no from me, but it is going to be, let's have a conversation and pull in your high school just to make sure that it's okay. And again, advising is not just picking classes. You can talk with us about college plans. We can talk about financial aid and scholarships. We're here to support you. That's everything that the Running Start office does, is support Running Start students. So please take advantage of that. The last thing I'll say in regards to advising is, and sounds cheesy, but we're advisors, we're not deciders. So I'm not your mom, I'm not the boss of you. I'm not going to pick out your whole life for you and like your classes. So I do want you to encourage you to look at the catalog and think about classes you're interested in. Once the winter schedule is available, look at the class schedule and see what sounds good. Talk to your friends, see what classes they've taken that they've enjoyed. If you have a major in mind, maybe start looking at the requirements for that. Not because I don't want to help you, I do. But again, I will help you, but I want you to be a full participant in this, so that way you have a sense of ownership over your college education. If you want to know which classes will satisfy your high school graduation requirements, we have high school equivalency guides for your high schools. So you can go onto the Running Start website, and the equivalency guides are all here. So for instance, if you go to Clallam, I think we have to update this still. It lists the classes that you can take to satisfy your graduation requirements. If you go to Wahluke, has the classes that you can take. So if you're ever in question about what classes you need to satisfy your requirements, your high school counselor is going to be the best resource for you, but you can also consult the high school equivalency guide to find out. And as a Running Start student, you do need to maintain academic standards. The standards are not super high. You need to maintain a 2.0 GPA. That is a C average. All of you were accepted to Running Start, and our requirement is higher than a C average. So I am sure that you can do it. I don't have any doubts about it. Usually when students aren't successful, it's not because they're not capable. It's either something's going on in life, and if something's going on in life, you don't have to tell me all the details, but if there's something that's impacting you, please communicate so we can get you help, or so that we can do a withdrawal. Or they just don't go to class or log into their online classes. So don't do that. Go to class, do your work. If you go to class and do your work, you should be fine. Log into your online classes. Professors can tell, by the way. They can tell like how often you're in Canvas and how much time you spend there. So usually that's why students aren't successful. I will say that the vast majority of Running Start students are very successful. I was looking at our numbers from last year, and 91% of our students met the academic standard of having a 2.0, but over 50% of them had a 3.5 GPA or higher, which is like an A- average. So the vast majority of students do really, really well in the program. Let's try to make sure you're one of them. If your GPA falls below a 2.0, then you would be placed on academic probation for the Running Start program. You're still able to stay in your classes if you're on probation, but you do have to meet with our office, either Amber or myself, on a somewhat regular basis to make sure that you're staying on track and that you're accessing resources. We might ask you to make schedule changes, if we feel like it's too much. The second time, if it happens, you'll be on suspension, and then you are no longer able to participate in the Running Start program. We do have an appeal process, so students can appeal if, maybe you had 2 quarters of there was just a lot of stuff going on, that's fine. But we do have this process in place in part because we want to make sure that you're going to graduate on time. Running Start's wonderful. Students really like it. I did Running Start when I was in high school. I loved it. I think the vast majority of Running Start students really love it, and do really, really well. But there are consequences for you beyond Running Start if you're not successful, and that's part of why we have these standards. So, if you're not passing your classes, you might not be able to graduate from high school. If you don't pass your classes, every class that you take at Central is going to go on your high school transcript, whether it's a high school graduation requirement or not. So if you get like an A in your class here and it's a 5-credit class and it counts for the whole year at the high school, that's super great for you. It will help to keep your GPA up. But if you fail a class, that's going to be like having a whole year's worth of an F on your transcript. And that can bring your high school GPA down. That can be a problem for you if you're applying to colleges or scholarships, even for applying to Central if you want to stay with us. So we do want to make sure that you are, maintaining the academic standards. And again, please communicate with me, with Alejandra or Amber if you need help. Nobody's ever in trouble in the Running Start office. Our job is just to support you. We don't get paid to be mad at you if you're not going to class. We're here to help you. So if you need anything, just let me know, come see us. It's important for you as students to know, and if there's any parents with you, that access to records is very limited at Central as a college student. So CWU staff, including the Running Start office, we have to follow FERPA regulations and CWU records policies. And FERPA is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. What that does is it kind of outlines who has access to student records in the K-12 system and in the college system. So in the K-12 system, your parents always have the ability to go to the school and access your records, talk to your teachers, ask for, or your guardians, talk to your teachers, talk to your counselor, ask for changes to your records, that kind of thing. Once you're in college, the only person who has access to student records is the student, and that is regardless of your age. Obviously, college staff have access to your records, and by participating in Running Start, part of the agreement of Running Start is that we can share your records with the high school. So the high school will get your grades. Like I said, every class you take is going to go on your transcript. We communicate with them if you're withdrawing, if there's concerns, so we communicate with the high school. But we're very limited in what we can share with parents unless the student does a release of information, release on their MyCWU account, which is also what you can use that for. So you will need to do a release if that's something that if you're wanting us to talk with your parents. And if there are parents in the room, just please be aware that we're not trying to be unhelpful if you call and ask about how your student's doing. But without a release, we're not able to share that information. And even if we have a release, we don't necessarily have the information that you're looking for. One of the big differences between the high school and the college is we don't have things like Skyward here. So the relationship a student has with the professor and how they're doing in the class is very much specific to that class and to that professor. Professors can do like an early alert if they have a concern about the student, but otherwise no one in the Running Start office or anyone else has any access to like how a student is doing, if they're doing their work, if they're not doing their work, until the end of the quarter when I can see grades. So I'm not necessarily going to know how a student's doing anyway, unless the student tells me. Final thing I'll say about access to records is even if a student chooses to do a release of information form, it's not necessarily a good idea for parents and guardians to contact faculty. So if there is a release of information and you want to contact our office, that's fine. But if, as a student, if you're struggling, it would be appropriate for you to talk with your professor about struggling in class. Or if you're not quite sure how to talk about it, come to see me and we can do, like practice of how to talk about it. You can talk to Alejandra, talk to Amber. Your parent can even come with you and talk to me. But it usually doesn't work out very well for students if their parents are involved, just because this is a college environment and the assumption is at college that you're ready and mature enough to communicate with your professors on your own and to handle your own business. And so if parents do call, usually that will kind of trigger for the instructor that maybe you're not quite ready to be at the college level yet if you can't take care of your own stuff. So I say this because it happens sometimes. We've had parents who, are worried for their student and will, call a professor, and they're unlikely to talk to you anyway. But again, it doesn't usually assist the student in the way the parent or guardian thinks it will. Finally, important dates that we have coming up: classes start on September 20th. The change of schedule period is going to end on the 26th. So if you want to make any changes to your schedule, whether it's adding, dropping, or changing, we have to do that by September 26th. Fees are also due on September 26th, so anticipate that. Uncontested withdrawal deadline is going to be November 6th. So again, that's withdrawing for any reason, doesn't matter what it is, you can withdraw. And then the last day of classes is going to be December 1st. And then we will have finals. So finals are going to be after the last day of classes from December 5th to December 8th. If you need to do a hardship or complete withdrawal, you have to do it by the last day of classes on December 1st. And I will say also, we have a very, very long winter break. So there should be hopefully no reason why anyone would need to miss finals, but it's really important that you don't miss the beginning of the quarter or the end of the quarter. It's important you don't miss the quarter period. Like, please don't schedule travel. If there are parents here listening, please don't schedule travel when students have class in session. College classes move at a much faster pace. Our quarter is 10 weeks. It's a big deal if students are gone. And professors are not really likely to let students make up, finals or midterms because, students on vacation. So please don't do that. Again, anything I bring up is kind of because it's happened in the past. So please try to avoid doing that. And some advice for you for starting out your quarter. Again, please check your CWU email every day, check your Canvas every day. Reminder, you might not see your classes in Canvas yet. That is okay. You should see them on like Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. If you're nervous because you don't see your classes and you're not sure if you really have classes, just go into My CWU, click on your Student Center, and you will see your classes right there. College is a little bit different in terms of, there's going to be different types of things for you to keep track of. So however it's helpful for you to organize everything that you need to do and keep track of your tasks, I suggest that you do that. By being a student, you have access to Microsoft Office 365. So that includes Outlook. On Outlook, you have a calendar. I use my calendar all the time to keep track of stuff because I'm not very good at I'm not a planner person. I can't really write things down very well. So I have everything on my Outlook calendar that I need to do. It provides me with reminders of when I need to get stuff done. Whatever works for you, but just, you're coming into a new space. So it would be good to, have a plan in place for how to keep track of everything that you need to do. Take notes when you're listening to your lectures, whether you're doing online classes or if you're in person, the professor is talking, take notes while they're talking, and then review and rewrite your notes every day. So I have students who sometimes they take notes, but then they don't ever look at them until ever sometimes, or until they have a test. That's not a good strategy. So if you take your notes every day and then you review them at the end of the day, maybe reorganize them. My strategy when I was in college is I type really, really fast, but I retain information better if I write stuff out, even though I don't like writing. So I would take notes in class by hand, and I can write really fast, but I have terrible writing. And then when I would go home, I would type up my notes and I would organize them because, when professors are talking just like me right now, we're kind of go off on tangents here and there. So then you can organize your notes into a way that makes sense, whether it's chronologically or by thematically, that kind of thing. So if you do that, you're going to be hearing the lecture, you'll be writing it down. When you go home to review your notes, you're seeing it. And then when you're typing it up or rewriting it, that's 4 ways in one day that you're going to get that information. And then if you review at the end of the week, then you're going to be able to retain that information much better for when you do have quizzes or exams. Schedule study time, and within your study time, schedule breaks. So it's not necessarily effective for a lot of people to read a textbook for 3 hours. I remember when I was in college, there were certain classes I loved. And so, I loved the subject. It didn't feel like work at all. There will be other subjects that it didn't feel that way for me, at least. I'm not really a chemistry person, for instance. And so I recall that I would just kind of stare at my chemistry book for 3 hours. But if you asked me what I studied, I wouldn't have any idea. So it's good to kind of break up your reading into chunks, take some notes about what you read, take a break, get up, walk around. Probably studying on your bed is not the best, or places where you might fall asleep. If you're on campus, there are so many places on campus. There's little nooks in different buildings. There's the library. There's 5 floors to the library with multiple study areas, also loud spaces where you can make friends. So find a place that works for you to study. And again, make sure you have breaks built in. Take notes from what you're studying, or use flashcards, stuff that can trigger the information for you so that it's not just kind of going in and out. The time to start studying is not right before your test. So it's really unlikely that if you, never look at your book or never look at your notes until the night before a test, that you're going to retain information very well. So again, try to have a routine. A lot of Running Start students take classes with other Running Start students. So maybe even developing a study group is good. If you are taking a language class, it's not a bad idea to make flashcards, and again, not a bad idea to find other people to study with. And even if you're not taking classes with friends or with other students that you know, fall quarter is a time where almost everybody is new, or at least a fourth of the population of the university is new with all of the freshmen. So there's lots of people who don't know anyone yet. And this is a good opportunity to, talk to the person you're sitting with if you're taking an in-person class and, get to know them, because you might make a friend, but also find people who you can study with. People who sit in the front are usually good people to study with. So, something to keep in mind. But yeah, don't study right before you have a test. Study throughout the quarter. So that way you're just reviewing information that you already know when it's time to take the test. If you need help, reach out to me, Alejandra, Amber, reach out to your professors, particularly for any type of content in your course that you're unsure about. Talk to your professors. Not mention that there are office hours that you can go to. Even if you're taking online classes, your professors should have office hours where they're available to meet with you either on campus or on Zoom. And I know a lot of Running Start students have lots of activities. I know a lot of people are playing sports. So if their office hours don't work for you, it is totally fine to contact them and say, hey, I actually have an activity I have to do every day at 3 o'clock when you have your office hours. Is it possible to talk to you at 11? And, most people will say yes. So reach out to them, utilize tutoring and other support services. If you forget what services are available, just reach out to us. We're happy to help. And again, talk to your fellow students, talk to the people who are sitting around you. If you're taking an online class, you will inevitably have discussion boards and other tools to try to have you communicate with your fellow students. So, you can still start study groups that way on Zoom. You can ask them questions if you need help. So your fellow students are going to be a good resource for you. And your kid can be a good resource for them. If you have like a study group, even if you're the one who knows everything and you're teaching everyone else, that will mean that you're going to learn it better by sharing that. And if you're the person who doesn't understand it as well and needs somebody to help you, it's helpful for them to be helping you. Like both people are getting help. So talk to your fellow students, make friends. If you have a technology problem and you are taking an online class or in person, let your professor know if it's impacting you in class. Sometimes students will try to submit their paper online and it doesn't work and then they just don't say anything. Don't do that. Talk to your professor and say, I tried to submit it. It didn't work. Here's a copy via email. Is this going to be okay? And then, call the service desk. So the service desk is going to be your friend if you have any technology issues. Again, connect with your fellow students. We've saying this a lot. Attend events. You can attend any events that are happening on campus. Even if you are not taking classes on campus and you're just doing online, you can still come to campus. We are having, if you are anywhere on the CWU website, you can scroll down and go to CWU events, and it will show you what's coming up. So for instance, on the 18th, on Monday, there's going to be a club fair. So if you want to join clubs, you can. If you want to see what clubs are available, you can go to the club fair. There's going to be week of welcome stuff where you can do volunteer stuff in the greenhouse. There's Monday Movie Madness. So every Monday, there's Monday Movie Madness. It is a free movie for students to watch. So there's going to be Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse on the 18th. There's also, I think the following week, they're going to have the Barbie film. So there's lots of events that happen and you can attend any of these. The only thing that you can't attend is, or that you can't participate in is competitive sports, and you can't participate in student government, but you can do clubs, and Running Start students are frequently in clubs. So please feel free to participate in those events. You can also take lots of different types of classes on campus. So we have an Orchesis dance company. We have students who are Running Start students who participate in that every year. You can participate in theater productions. If you meet their audition criteria, you can take classes in the music department. You can work on campus. There's lots of jobs on campus. Matt was talking about research opportunities. We have Running Start students we had one last year who just did research the whole year. She didn't take any other classes, but she was doing psychology research. We've had students who've done economic research and who've been published with professors because of it. We've had students who've been hired to be teaching assistants, in like the law and justice program because their professors were so impressed with them that they hired them. We have students who are involved in the ROTC program on campus, so you can be as involved as you want to here. It's just a matter of, you know, what your comfort level is. And again, starting out, ask people to help you stay on track. So, you know, you still have your support system. One of the nice things with Running Start is you're doing college, you are a college student. You're a college student, congratulations. But you're still at home and you still have your support system and you have your high school and you have your friends and you have your teachers. And so if it's helpful for you, then ask people to help you keep on track. Whether that's sharing your syllabus with your parents, maybe making a copy of it and putting it on the refrigerator so everybody can kind of see what you have coming up. And if you have papers, you know, talking with your friends, if you're taking classes with your friends, support each other. Sometimes people will take classes together and they kind of like distract each other. Don't do that. Like lift each other up in your classes to make sure that you can get stuff done on time and that you're doing your best work. And just some tips for when you're interacting with your professors. This might sound kind of weird, but it's not common practice at the university to call professors, so the people who are teaching your classes, like Mr. or Mrs. or Ms. It's part of the culture at the university is usually to refer to your professors as professor or as doctor, unless they tell you otherwise. And some people will. Matt is a professor. Matt likes to be called Matt. That's why I'm calling him Matt rather than Professor Martinson. When you're interacting with anyone in our office, we like to be first name people. But when you're taking a class, say with like, if you're taking Sociology 101 with Professor Roberts, it would be a good idea to call her Professor Roberts until she tells you what she would like to be called. So it's a random cultural thing, but you know, you'll look so much more professional and like you know what you're doing if you do that. Check your syllabus. So on the first day of class, you're going to get the syllabus for your class. And if you're taking an online class, you should be able to see the syllabus on Canvas. This is going to outline everything that you're going to do in the class. It's going to outline the grading policies that the professor has. It's going to outline the expectations. There will frequently be, it will tell you what books you're going to read and what you need to read within those books. It will outline what assignments you're going to have, and will frequently have you know, like a calendar of when you need to turn stuff in. So that's going to be like your contract for the class. And so you want to make sure you keep it, don't lose it. And then look at it look at it every day, frankly, so that you know what's coming up, what you need to do. They will outline like, what is their policy on attendance? You need to attend class, but some professors will take attendance every day and it's part of your grade. Other professors may not require it as part of your grade. You still need to go because you can't be successful if you're not getting the material. So go. But you know, they'll have policies about that, or if they accept late work, most people don't. But if they do, they'll have it listed there. And usually if they do, they're going to penalize your grade and it will explain that. So check your syllabus, do your assigned reading before class. So let's say that you are taking History 144 with Dr. Estrada at 9, and you guys are going to cover chapter 3 on Wednesday. That means you need to have chapter 3 read before Wednesday. So it needs to be read already and you know it. So that way on Wednesday, when you go into class, you guys can talk about it and you have already that foreknowledge. And then when you're having classroom discussion, you know what you're talking about. And if he is going to do like a lecture where he's going to talk about more information, that you already have that background material. So make sure that you're reading your stuff before you go to class, not after. In all your communication with your professors, and not just your professors, but kind of everybody on campus, make sure that you're polite, make sure that you're using appropriate grammar and spelling. If you're emailing, use your central account, not your personal account. I don't mind that a lot of you email me from your personal accounts. It's okay. But when you're emailing your professors, you really want to make sure that you're using your central account. Again, so they know for who you are and that you're really you. And it shows that you know what you're doing as a student. But we get a lot of emails in our office where it's not from a CWU email account. There's no name. There's no greeting. It's just like a question that looks like someone texted it. that doesn't put like your best foot forward. So particularly if you're asking for something from like a professor, like, I need to miss class, is it okay if I turn this in at a different time? You know, you want to be making your best impression. So, you know, good grammar, be polite, be nice, use your central account. And again, emails have a greeting. So, hello, Professor, you know, Professor Stein, how are you today? I'm asking if I can, you know, I'm going to have an FBLA tournament on Wednesday of next week. So I wanted to reach out to you to see if I could miss class and if it'd be okay if I turn my assignment in beforehand. Thank you. Have a great day. From, you know, and then keep in mind, professors have a lot of students. So if you're taking like psychology, the psychology professor is awesome. She will try to learn all of your names and get to know all of you. She's very, very nice. She has like 400 students, so she may not know right who you are exactly right away. So make it easy for your professors by when you do email them, include your first and your last name, include your ID number, say what course you're in and what the section is. Remember that like English 101-001, that's the section. So include the section so that way it's easier for them to identify like who you are and what your need is. And that is the end of the presentation. I'm going to stop recording. And then if you guys have questions, you can turn your cameras on and do all of that. So you guys now have permission to unmute yourself and you have permission to